Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You get fairy dust, I get fairy dust. Little, maybe it needs a name, but little Fawn gets fairy dust and little Amelie gets fairy dust. And today's lesson is about suffering. And yay, we love to suffer. And you might think that is true if you were a CPTSD kid, because we seem to choose it a lot. Um, I find myself in, or I have found myself in relationships that weren't healthy, where people were mean to me or demeaning or shaming. And one of the reasons why I stayed in them is because I didn't want to suffer. So I could take a past romantic relationship that I had where it was a nightmare. I can't even remember any joy in it at all. Even if there were laughs occasionally, it was always just a miserable experience where I just felt trapped from the beginning. And so, and I stayed for 9 years. And one of the reasons I left, one of the reasons I didn't leave or why it took me so long to leave is that I didn't want to suffer. And the crazy thing is that I didn't want to suffer change. I didn't want to suffer what I was going to have to do to make more money. I didn't want to suffer. I didn't want to suffer what I was gonna, the unknown. I definitely didn't want to suffer the unknown. And what I exchanged for that, not suffering this unknown, being away from a person that was actually causing suffering, um, was suffering. And so, um, you know, ask yourself what does make you stay in a certain relationship? And if it is suffering or fear or dread or um horror or whatever it is, like whatever it is that is why you're not choosing to leave, is that if it's dread, you experience dread every day with a toxic person. If it's fear, you're experiencing fear every day with a toxic person. And so we are truly programmed. And I do think that we have these thoughts like, oh, it'll be too hard. Well, it's too hard now, but we stay. And so I think that, these feelings, for me, the whole point of all this is just so I can be conscious. And so part of me, I know it now. I wish I would have known it more then, is that it's like, I wish I had realized like, no, like you're suffering, like you're afraid to suffer, but you are suffering now. And, part of it is the suffering is it feels like well, I'm suffering less, but we won't know that. And now I could tell my past self, it's like, oh, no, 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 no. Any suffering you do is on a path to not suffering, bitch. Like, please, please now. Um, but I think for me, I'd rather, whatever, the truth will set you free, but first it'll, piss you off and hurt your feelings. Um, I think that thoughts about like, oh, I'm too scared to do this, or I don't want to suffer to do this thing. I have to take into account that I'm suffering now. I'm suffering now. And the big difference between suffering now and suffering in the future, like this projected future where I will suffer because I have to do things differently, um, and I know another thing that clients have said, I'm afraid of being alone. Well, you're alone now. Like, yeah, there's another human being there, but you're fully alone. Like no one sees you in this relationship. So, and same here. Like that was another one of mine. It's like I was fully alone. Um, and so that is familiar. Like I know how to do this. And when you are a CPTSD kid and you find yourself in your 20s and in your 30s in these kinds of relationships and 40s and 50s, that when you find yourself in these relationships that we are choosing every day, doesn't seem like we're choosing it, but we are choosing it every single day that we're in it, that because thinking that you're not choosing it today, that it's something that you chose, however many years ago when you made those vows, like thinking that you chose it, you're not choosing it now, is to say that you are not free. And fortunately, 2005, we are still free to divorce. And so you do get to leave. But CPTSD programming is to stay, is to leave, is, to betray the toxic family system. And so, you know, there's all these rules about why you don't get to leave. And and most of them, we are the enforcer of them. And it's really, really scary. But the point of this video is just to remind you that um, the things that you fear on the other side of your independence, on the other side of your individuation, on the other side of your um, liberation, that word's been ruined now, but um, on the other side of, you going to actually live your hopes and dreams, or you being free, is suffering, is to, like, newsflash, you're suffering now. You're suffering now. And for me, it's just helpful to say, oh, that's right, I am now. And that's just going to be a different kind of suffering. But times have shown, and I do have maybe one or two safe people in my life, or people um, who I trust that have gotten on the other side of this stuff that I'm in now, that um, that the person who will catch me on the other side of this is me. And if you believe in a higher power or have a higher power, like, you can trust that. Like, this is really putting that to the test. Like, how much do you trust if you are spiritual or religious, like, and you're afraid of the future, that is like, you're saying that you actually don't trust that thing. So again, this is just to get to, I want to know who I am. I want to know what I'm choosing. I don't want to be in the dark anymore. If I'm suffering, um, if I'm afraid of doing something because I'm afraid I will suffer, I'm suffering now. I was just reading, um, I know it's like so on the nose, but I'm reading The Alchemist. It was assigned, I had never read it, and it was assigned by my therapist. And it's like, if you don't, I mean, this doesn't, well, if, if you don't see, if you don't appreciate your blessing, then it is a curse. And so, like, I have been experiencing that in a way. I've been thinking, like, oh, like, I don't want to do this thing because it's too scary. I don't want to put myself out into the world because it's too scary. I'm afraid of comments. I'm afraid that it'll trigger me. My trauma, I'm afraid I'll have a trauma response to a negative comment or something like that. And it's like, okay, that's suffering. Like, I'm protecting myself from suffering, and suffering is a curse. And so it's like, however, by me not being creative, by me not expressing myself, by me not putting, that is also suffering. That is also suffering. So thank you to Elizabeth, who has helped me realize in the moment, like, sometimes the insights will be live. So, I hope you're here for that. But yeah, it's suffering. And so it's like the things that I'm protecting myself from in the future, or that the illusion that I'm actually suffering from it now in a different way. And so let's just take the tool, I guess, is take the future suffering, um, the fear of future suffering off the table, because I'm suffering now. The curse is now, it's not in the future. And if it is in the future, fine. I will find tools for that. I will find suffering in the future. Fine. I will find tools for that. I will find support for that. You already have evidence of it. You've gotten support. You've figured things out. You've solved your problems. But at least I won't be I won't be yearning for something that I'm preventing myself from. Like, I can stop yearning for it because I'm suffering now. So yeah, so just to remind ourselves, it's like if I'm afraid, like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there because what if I suffer? What if I suffer? Well, you're suffering now. Okay. All right, well, maybe I can put myself out there a little bit more and be a little less afraid of suffering in the future because what I have tools for that. I have support for that. I can work with that. I can, maybe become stronger, braver. Maybe I can heal a little bit of the stuff that has triggered me in the past. So, but to deny that you're suffering now is to be unconscious. So I hope that's helpful. Love you. Bye.